Hey, welcome back. Hey, welcome back to part 2 of Everyone Has a Story. I'm your host, Reverend Rick McCain, and I'm here with my baby, my girl, my boo, author Brenda McCain, and we're the hosts of the Let's Stay Together show. Baby.
Okay. We are the guest hosts today of Everyone Has a Story, and we have another beautiful lady on the panel, Miss Angie Brown, who works with young ladies, or worked in the past with young ladies. Can you tell us, what did you do to uplift young girls to becoming virtuous women?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, because I am the example of touch one, reach one, because I'm not necessarily affiliated with an organization. I work in corporate America, but you make that time, whatever time you have, to reach the youth. And what I did at my church was, I was a deacon, so I headed the youth diagnate group. And basically, what I really do love about my church, because I've been going there since I was a child, so I know how the mentoring program works. And what we did was, whatever we did at adults, we passed that on to the youth, the children of the church. Mm-hmm. And every fourth Sunday we have Youth Sunday. So they come to the sanctuary, meaning they had their own, we have a nursery, we have youth church, we have junior church, but they would come to the sanctuary every fourth Sunday, and they would do everything. So I had the youth diagnate, they served the communion, we had the usher board, they would pass out the programs in the mornings, and they would do the prayers. They would do the choir. They would do everything. They took over. And what this does is instill so much confidence into these kids. It really does. You could talk to them all day long, but to actually get them active and to see their confidence, and when they do something good or when they finish with their prayer, to see them smile like, I did it. You know, and we even start with the little ones. You know, we'll get them to say a little solo, you know, God is good, God is, and they just clap, and they're so happy. But what it does is instill those things that you could tell somebody to have self-confidence, but you really have to show them the way. Yeah. You really have to take them and put them in the situations where they can practice that, because that's what makes them start believing it. And as far as the young women, we have so many things to come over being women, being minority, and being women. The deacon board was always pretty much men. Now it's changed. Yeah, the majority of it are women now. So we get a lot of the young women also to get on these different boards where they're not just the ushers handing out the program, they're handing out the communion now with the boys. And they're gaining that confidence because coming from corporate America, I know being young and black, I went into a major that was very unlike. I was an economics major.
Very unlikely.
Very unlike. So I was not only the only minority, I was the only woman at times. So you have to really, really have tough skin. Yeah. To deal with a lot of things that come your way, and a lot of things that I even had to deal with. So I'm able to project a lot of that to the younger youth in the church and tell them, hey, get up there, speak with confidence, enunciate, you know, captivate your audience. Your perception of what you put out there into the world, people's going to see you for that. And then all the nerves and everything that you think you can't do, they'll slowly start going away.
So let me ask you this, and Leslie, I'm going to go to you. How do we get, because, you know, I liked what she said is basically, you know, they gave them the capability to doing things. And so when they had some kind of a commitment and process of doing certain process of the church, they became more confident. In Young, Gifted, and Black, we're trying to say rise up and walk. How do we give them additional confidence about who they are and what they can accomplish?
Yeah, you know, I think it's a hard thing to answer because it can look and it can present itself in different packages. I think what's important to realize is we all have bad days, right? Yeah. We need to love our youth and support our youth even when they're at their worst. We all make bad mistakes sometimes, and we need to not judge our youth so harshly. We need to understand that, you know, the world is changing. The idea of, you know, when we were growing up, it was kind of like, you speak if you're spoken to. Children should be seen and not heard. Things have changed, you know. We grew up in a time where you respect the elderly, you know, you don't have to earn that. Nowadays, youth really, they want you to earn their respect. There's so much information out there available to them that we need to have the hard conversations with them.
Yeah.
You know, it can't be just because I said so. We have to talk to them about the hard and the difficult topics. We have to support them, and we have to understand that everybody doesn't have a great day, and we need to be 100% supportive at all times.
Yeah.
Because there are times where, you know, they're going to love what we're feeding them and what we're teaching them, but there are going to be times where it's difficult, and we need to stay there in those difficult times.
Hey, baby, you got some questions for us, don't you?
I do. I'm piggybacking off of what Angie stated with the church, because I remember my home church as well as Shelton's, Lilydale. We learned so much in that church. It made me realize back in the day, I don't remember us shadowing older people. And I think that's a blessing what your church is doing, because it does build up confidence. And I believe Kelly spoke upon that. The key, young people, is communication. And I know the perception is the way, like the gentlemen in our audience today and the young ladies are dressed to perfection, and I love it. They look so handsome and beautiful out here. So I give you, everybody need to give them a hand clap, because they look, and they're very precise in their speaking. So someone is working with you guys very nicely. But my question is, how do you stop a child that's not in this audience not to give up on their dreams? Because it's hard out here. And you know, the stuff that they're seeing, it's like, well, you know, why even bother? Especially if they're not in a two-parent household and the mother is still kicking it and they just out here endlessly. They don't have a Shelton or Angie or Andre, or even a Leslie or a Rick or a Brenda. What do we tell them, or how can we tell them, don't give up on your dream, fight, get out the area and come back to it?
Sheldon, talk about that.
Well, I think that a lot of it has to do with what the young person really wants for themselves. I always ask young people if they have a personal plan and assessment, meaning you need to have some goals and objectives that you're trying to reach. What are you striving for? What are you going after? And then I also encourage them to introduce themselves to their new best friend. His name is Resilient. Because you're going to get knocked down, and when you get knocked down, you need to brush yourself off, pick yourself up, and keep it moving. Because in life, there are some hardcore obstacles that you're going to have to overcome, and nobody is going to give you anything. And so everything my dad taught me, which I still carry with me, he taught me two things. The golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and anything worth having is worth working for. And so those things empower me to be self-motivated, to strive for the things that I want in life. And so whatever you seek to have, you can have it. Everything black is not bad. Young, gifted, and black means that everything about you, you were made in the image of God, and God don't make mistakes.
Amen.
And once young people come to realize that, and see, we have to take things back to the traditional ways. I know we live in a contemporary society, but the traditional ways of doing things is introducing God in every aspect of your life.
Well, the school took that out. That was one of the biggest problems.
But the home can still implement
it. That's true. Yeah. And a lot of times, you know, back in the day, you know, my mother, when she didn't even want to go to church, she told me, your butt going to church. You finna go to church. You finna go there. But now we're letting our kids sit at home, and they don't have that values anymore. But I'm going to ask you, you know, Leslie or someone on the panel to ask this question. I remember when I was in high school, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. I was young. I was gifted. I was black, but I had no knowledge about where I was going to go. I mean, I took accounting because everybody else was taking accounting, because I didn't have, even though they say, you know, school counselors, guiding counselors, me and my wife had an argument about this, because I don't think guiding counselors pay attention to the child. You've got to know what the child wants before you can guide them. You can't just guide them somewhere before you know what they want. And a lot of times I just thought the guidance counselor was saying, you know, hey, why don't you choose this? Why don't you do that? And they didn't know me. So if I don't know me, how can you guide me to take that part of being gifted where I can use it to something good?
You know, just to piggyback off of what you said earlier, you have to want it. You know, there's so many resources out there available. There's so many programs. I have 2 children myself looking on the internet. There's math and science programs during the summer that you can get involved in, that you can apply for scholarship. So you need to expose yourself to different things and see what you like. And then through that, you can network, you can meet mentors, you can get scholarships, you can get money, and other opportunities will come your way, but you have to seek it out. Once you seek it out, other opportunities will come.
So Andre, let me ask you this, man. I'm from the streets. Nobody gonna give me an opportunity. I want to be able to do something with my life, but everybody's looking at me in a negative light because I came from the streets. I did things from the streets. I'm a part of the streets, and the street is still in me in some ways. How can I become a person that's going to be valued to someone who doesn't even see the value in me?
Well, it's just about being positive, and that's what I instill in these young brothers. I deal with the thugs and the wannabe game bangers and stuff like that, and it's about building their self-esteem up to the point where letting them know that you are gifted, you are somebody. Just because we black don't mean we got to sell drugs, kill, steal, rob, and do the things that people say we do. You know, and people look at how we, put ourselves out there. You know, they do what they see, and it all starts at home. They take guys like me, and people be like, how do I change this equation? You see, so they see the stuff I'm doing. They see, well, he does this, he does that. It's just about being positive, being at the right place at the right time, networking. And see, so I introduce them to these things. As far as networking, you never know who's gonna open some doors for you, being at the right place at the right time.
That's a good point. And Sheldon, I saw you over there wanting to say something. It is so interesting that, you know, I know even for me sometimes, and I'm gonna let my baby ask a question after this, that even for me as an African-American male, I'm still profiled as being something as negative, no matter if I'm in the suit or how I look. And I find myself to be, you know, somewhat educated, but I'm always perceived the wrong way. How do I, as a young man, get past that perception in my own mind?
You know what? I believe it's what you feel about self, because other people don't validate you.
Right.
You validate you. And so the mindset has to come that you are a whole without whatever somebody or a group or society thinks of you. What do you want for yourself? Are you, because someone thinks less of you, are you not going to have a job? Are you not going to go after their job? Are you not going to support your lovely wife? Are you not going to be a family provider? Are you not going to go after the things that you know that you should have because they are attainable for you as an achiever?
Yeah.
And so I think that our young people that wear this hard shell and this Tupac mask, sometimes that's all it is a mask.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's a lot of fear under there.
Right.
And people are afraid to go after it.
Yeah. Hey, we hope you're enjoying this. This is Everyone Has a Story. We'll be right back after these station identification breaks.
Oh, what a lovely, precious dream.
Welcome back to Everyone Has a Story. I'm the host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, author Brittany McCain. Hey, baby, you've got a question for one of our guests.
I sure do, and I want to lead with Miss Angie over here. Do you believe that American society has given up on African American males and females?
You know, as long as someone cares, the answer to that is always going to be no. As long as you have a panel here, the churches are alive, the neighbors looking after the kids next door, as long as there's somebody who cares about one individual child, the answer is no. I know it's very hard to believe that we haven't given up on them in spite of everything that goes on with the police officers shooting our black males and, you know, the teen pregnancy rates with our girls. I would say that even dealing with other people within my church, you get a little frustrated because you want them to get it. And you get frustrated with yourself because sometimes you're wondering, are you failing? Are you saying the right things? Are you doing all that you can do? Did I say something wrong? And a big factor in that is sometimes you have to stop and you have to listen. Because one thing about youth is each one has a different story, a different experience. Everyone is not getting pregnant. Everyone is not selling the drugs.
That's true.
Everyone is not doing something wrong, but still don't know what to do to get ahead. So sometimes you just have to sit down and listen. And once you realize what they might need, go with that instead of cliches. Stay in school, go to college. That's not always for everyone. One of the best conversations I had was with a young man outside of the church who was walking past, and he said, "Hey, is that a good church?" And my response was, "Anywhere you can find God is a good place."
That's good. Yeah.
And he looked at me and he started telling me about his past and his had a felon and nobody's going to give him a job. I said, "You're probably correct. Make one for yourself." I said, "What are you good at?" He said, "Computers." Go to DeVry. Get the skills. Get you some cards. I said, "I don't know everything about computers. When mine go out, I need to call somebody. And I will call you." I said, start a life for yourself and stop waiting for somebody to start a life for you.
You know, and I want to add on to that because, you know, one of the things I love that you said, because in the minds of a lot of people, society has given up on our youth. But by you saying that, it tells everyone that that's not the case. Society is people. We want to make it seem like it's just some kind of a big global word. It's people, and as long as there's somebody that still cares about one of our people, and I think that was you said one, you know, one individual. It only takes one. Was that you or you? I don't know. One of you all said it only takes one.
Takes one.
It only takes one to do that. So society could be one person moving a mountain for many. And so, Shelton, what I want you to add on to that is that, you know, I feel as a young man that society has given up on me. Tell me why it hasn't.
I think that if you feel that way, you probably have something that validates your feelings, because there are a lot of things going on with communities of boys of color. And so, by right, you probably are entitled to feel that way. Mm-hmm. Why you shouldn't feel that way is because the door of opportunity is open for you just like it is for everybody else. And it's for you to embrace those things. It's for you to find the talent that lies in you. As Angie said, nobody's going to hand you a job, but you can create a job. You can be your own entrepreneur. You can be your own businessman. And so I don't think that you should feel like society has necessarily given up on you because a few people might think less of you.
Right.
But you think the most of you, and God is the majority for you, because God is all you need.
Yeah.
And so all you have to do is go forth in grace. And you may not understand that, because if you're that young person that has not been introduced to the spectrum of the church, you don't understand a lot of we'll call church decorum. Mm-hmm. So you don't understand that. But if you know God exists, then you know that God can be favorable of you. And so those things that you have before you makes you a winner. I'm an ambassador and the Chicago project manager for the Bold and Born to Win Leadership Academy. And that empowers young people to go forth as leaders and not followers, to do what's right, not what's popular. And so with that being said, all you have to do is go forth with you, regardless of what society thinks. I think that will become more visible when the community comes together, because to commune means to come together. And so when the communities come back at large, then you have that visibility to see that there's care. When the neighbor can look out of her window and call the police, and we can get rid of a don't snitch, and you saw what happened on the street corner, then the community is now back invested. See, there's no investment. When there's no investment, there's no return to look for.
Yeah. You know, I'll say this, and I'm ask Leslie to ask this question, because, you know, we have one of the young ladies here that's one of our guests, and I remember myself, Mr. Evans was out there, and he looked after me as a young man playing baseball. You know, I was pretty good, but I didn't know what I was doing, and he taught me so many skills. A person like a Mr. Holt that was out there that taught me certain things. We got about 2 minutes left, so I want you to just wrap this up for me real quick. Can that one person change the mind of many?
Most definitely, and I think it's important to encourage people, mentors, leaders such as yourselves that are here today to say, you might not see the immediate fruits of your labor. Sometimes it's about planting those seeds, and those seeds will grow. Maybe at the time when you plant that seed, the individuals, they're not in that mindset to really process or take that in, but it's something that will grow. So don't get discouraged, you know, when you feel like you're really trying to give good advice and support and you feel like it's going on deaf ears, because sometimes you're not going to see the immediate results from that, but it does have a positive impact.
Hey, we're going to stop for a few minutes. We have to thank you all for being on the show. Baby, we've got to go to another commercial break here, but I do want to say this to our audience, is that if there's a lot of people that are speaking in your ear negative, and there's one person that's speaking positive, listen to that one person, because that one person can change your life. Hey, thank you for listening to us. We'll be right back from Everyone Has a Story right after these breaks. Hey, thank you for coming back. We're about to wrap up Everyone Has a Story. So we're going to have a couple of questions we're going to have for our audience guests in a few minutes, but I'm going to go to you, Andre. I want to be able to talk to a young man right now. So I just want you to talk to one young man and give him some guidance on how he can be a young, gifted, and black individual going forward.
Well, what I do, I talk to these young guys out here. A lot of them are not going to hear about churches. They're not going to hear any positivity. A lot of them don't even have parents that are trying to instill morals and values in them, you know. So what I do till I instill hope to the point where I say, if you just stay positive, you're doing God without even knowing it. You see, and that's the main focus that we have to get their attention on, because a lot of kids are not going to go in no church. A lot of kids not even listen to their parents. So you have these organizations, but you got a lot of negativity. It's the naysayers out here that basically pushes people away from these things when you're trying to force feed them, and you can't force feed it on anybody. So it's about, like they were talking about earlier, communication.
Yeah.
You see, and so when we communicate with our youth, we get their attention more. And so when you take a young fella and you showing them that you care by interacting with them, you see, interacting with them, checking on them, conversing with them, teaching them, guiding, instructing them, showing them how a man would actually do this. You know, a lot of these young kids don't have that. And so that's what I do. I get with certain individuals, and it's not just kids. You got guys in their 20s, and they still stuck, you know, and they still trying to find a way, you know. So it's organizations out there, it's guys out there just like myself that deal with these guys, you know, because everybody that walks around with his pants sagging and try to be hardcore is not really hardcore. They got this soft inner shell inside them, and you see it immediately, you know, and that lets you know that they need help. They need somebody to actually show them that it don't take two wrongs to make it right. Why would you follow a path that has no history of success? You know, you want to be a gangbanger, you want to be a thug, you want to honor and put somebody else on a pedestal, but they ain't God.
Right.
You see.
We got some guests. You know, one of the persons we did not introduce was Tracy Hire, who was just excellent with us. Tracy, come on and get a couple of questions we have from my audience.
Okay, we've got two more questions quickly. One is right here. Can you stand up for me?
Hi, my name is Ashley, and I was taught that it takes a village to raise a child, and I was wondering, as a parent of children in this new generation, what advice can you give about collectively raising our children to better their future?
Okay, I'm going to have Shelton, you answer that question.
Wow,
Academy Award, man, go ahead.
Mr. Oscar.
Thank you, Ashley. That's a great question. I think that the resources from within your family, because all of you all, I'm sure, want something great for that child in that component. And so everyone has to pull together. And, you know, there's going to be, the parent may hear some advice from an older relative that's saying, well, don't do it this way, do it that way. You know, they'll listen to you. The child may be receptive to the uncle versus the mother, because you can say stuff to a kid and they'll hear different from an outsider versus what's in the home, because it comes across as scripted. And so everybody working together, don't be afraid to ask for help. Whatever doesn't seem to be working, if you're, I whooped her about that, I whooped him about that, I told him not to do that, I told him to do his homework when he get home, I told him this, I told him that. If that's not working, then find some resources that can give you some of that traditional advice that worked back in the 60s and the 70s. And I guarantee you it'll work now, because one thing that's still consistent is a kid is a kid. And that kid is the common denominator.
Yeah.
And also, if you don't have, you know, the family structure there, your parents or grandparents available, get with other parents in your community. You know, pull together, pull your resources together, consult with each other, use each other as support. Make sure that your children are growing up together with like minds. That's very important as well.
Sharing best practices always works.
That is great. I don't know if we have enough time for another question, but let's go to our one more question we have. We have any more questions out in the audience? Oh, we don't have any other more questions. Second, baby, this has been a great show.
It has, and I have to do a shout out for one of our guest panelists that was here earlier, patiently waiting, and it was, I have to say it again, the Honorable Judge Carl Boyd.
The Honorable Judge.
Honorable. I mean, the man is great. He was here, and he had got summoned away.
Yeah.
So, Honorable Judge Carl Boyd, we thank you for
thank you.
even
Thank
coming
you.
and attempting
Yes, we
to
do.
be a part of a great show.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed. Everyone has a story. You know what I want to say to the young people out there? You are already young, gifted, and black. No one has to tell you anything different than that. The only thing you have to now is go forward with what you already have. You are gifted, you are young, and of course you are black. So one of the things you need to know with that blackness is beautiful, and so are you. We want to hope you've enjoyed our show. I'm your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, Arthur Brenda McCain, host from the Let's Stay Together show. Baby, close us out. Sing for us. No, close us out, baby. She ain't got nothing to say. Hey,
I'm singing.
thank you all very much. She's doing a Milli Vanilli. Thank you all very much for listening to our show.
Together.